Let's be honest for a moment. What is the one thing that truly worries you about getting older? For many, it's not a specific disease. It's not a number on a chart. According to extensive surveys, many older adults fear losing their independence even more than they fear death itself. It's the thought of losing control, of becoming a burden, of not being able to live life on your own terms in the home you've built. There's a lot of content out there that tries to scare you about the future, using frightening headlines to get your attention. This isn't one of them. This is a conversation about empowerment. It's about replacing fear with facts and replacing passive worry with proactive strategies you can use, starting today, to protect the independence you've worked your whole life to build. And if you've ever found yourself thinking, well, this is all just a normal part of getting older, I'm here today to respectfully and powerfully challenge that idea. Because today, we're not just talking about avoiding disease. We're going to pull back the curtain on 3 silent threats to your independence that doctors don't always have the time to discuss in a 15-minute appointment. And more importantly, we're going to outline the actionable, science-backed strategies you can use to counter them. Our goal today is ambitious but simple: to give you a clear, no-nonsense roadmap for protecting your autonomy. We'll be drawing on guidance and research from some of the most respected institutions in the country, including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institute on Aging, and Johns Hopkins Medicine. We are going to structure our conversation around 3 core areas. First, we'll tackle the foundational threat to our physical body, the cycle of frailty and falls that can begin not with a stumble, but with a thought. Second, we'll address the often overlooked threat to our mental and social well-being, the profound impact of isolation, and the real story behind what we call brain fog. And finally, we will confront the threat to our personal agency, the feeling of losing control over our own healthcare and life decisions, and how to firmly take that control back. I promise you that by the end of our time together, you will feel more informed, more confident, and more in command of your future. And a quick but important reminder: I am not a doctor, and this video is for informational purposes only. The goal here is to empower you with knowledge so you can have more effective, collaborative conversations with your own trusted healthcare professionals. Always consult your doctor for medical advice and before making any significant changes to your health routine. So let's begin with the first and perhaps most fundamental threat to our independence: the gradual erosion of our physical resilience. This doesn't start with a broken bone. It often starts in our minds with a single powerful emotion: fear. Specifically, the fear of falling. If you've ever felt a moment of hesitation before stepping off a curb, or found yourself gripping the handrail a little tighter than you used to, you know this feeling. It seems like a sensible protective instinct, but here is the paradox that researchers have uncovered. The fear of falling itself can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. A landmark study revealed that a strong fear of falling can increase your actual risk of a fall by up to 60%, even after accounting for other physical risk factors. Why? Because fear changes our behavior. It creates a vicious cycle. We worry about falling, so we become less active. We stop taking those long walks. We avoid the stairs. We say no to a grandchild's invitation to the park. But as we become less active, our muscles get weaker, our balance deteriorates, and our reaction time slows. In trying to avoid a fall, our fear has inadvertently made us more vulnerable to one. This is the very definition of a silent threat. It's not a disease, it's a mindset that quietly undermines our physical foundation. The antidote to this fear is not to simply tell yourself don't be afraid. The antidote is to build a body that gives you every reason to be confident. It's about shifting from a mindset of passive worry to one of proactive strategy. This means going beyond just walking. While walking is fantastic for cardiovascular health, the National Institute on Aging and the CDC both stress that to truly build a resilient body that resists falls and maintains independence, we need to focus on three pillars of movement. The first pillar is strength. This is your engine. After the age of 30, we can lose between 3 to 5% of our muscle mass per decade if we're inactive. This loss, called sarcopenia, is a primary driver of frailty, but it is not inevitable. Simple strength training exercises, like rising from a chair without using your hands, performing wall push-ups, or using light resistance bands, can rebuild and maintain that crucial muscle mass. It's what allows you to carry your own groceries, lift a suitcase into the car, and get up from the floor with ease. The second pillar is balance. This is your steering and alignment. Balance is a skill, and like any skill, it gets rusty if you don't practice it. The good news is, it can be sharpened at any age. Practices like Tai Chi have been studied extensively and are proven to be incredibly effective at improving balance and reducing falls. But you don't even need a formal class to start. You can practice standing on one foot while holding on to a counter for support, or simply trying to walk heel to toe across your living room. These small, daily inputs reprogram the connection between your brain, your inner ear, and your body, making you steadier on your feet. The third pillar is flexibility. This is your suspension system. Flexible muscles and joints allow for a greater range of motion. This means you can bend down to tie your shoes, reach for something on a high shelf, or turn your head to check your blind spot while driving, all without strain or injury. Gentle daily stretching of your major muscle groups, your legs, your back, your shoulders, keeps your body limber and ready to adapt to unexpected movements. By consciously incorporating these three pillars, strength, balance, and flexibility, into your weekly routine, you are not just exercising. You are actively dismantling the fear of falling by building a physical confidence that is earned and real. Of course, a resilient body needs the right fuel to perform, and this brings us to another silent threat that is closely tied to our physical well-being: malnutrition, or what some experts call the hidden hunger. Now, when we hear the word malnutrition, we often picture someone who is severely underweight. It's easy to think that as we get older and perhaps less active, we naturally need less food, so skipping a meal here or there is no big deal. That is a dangerous myth. The truth, according to the National Institute on Aging, is that our need for certain key nutrients, like vitamin D for bone health, calcium, and vitamin B12 for nerve function and energy, can actually go up as we age. Our bodies can become less efficient at absorbing and processing them. This creates a dangerous paradox. You can be overweight and still be malnourished. You might be consuming plenty of calories, but they are empty calories from processed foods, sugary drinks, and refined carbohydrates that lack the vitamins, minerals, and protein your body is crying out for. The statistics are startling. Research suggests that up to 1 in 2 older adults are at risk for malnutrition, and it often goes completely undiagnosed because it doesn't fit our stereotype. The red flags aren't always dramatic weight loss. They can be subtle: persistent fatigue, wounds that are slow to heal, increased susceptibility to infections, or even worsening confusion. This hidden hunger directly undermines your independence by sapping your strength, weakening your immune system, and making you more prone to the very falls we just discussed. The solution here is a shift in focus from quantity of food to quality. It's about nutrient density. Think about it this way. A small bowl of plain Greek yogurt with a handful of berries and nuts provides high-quality protein, calcium, vitamins, and healthy fats. It's nutrient-dense. A large bagel with cream cheese, while containing more calories, provides far fewer of the micronutrients your body actually needs to thrive. The actionable step is to make one small nutrient-dense swap each day. Maybe it's trading your morning toast for a bowl of oatmeal with fruit, or ensuring you have a source of protein like chicken, fish, or beans with both lunch and dinner. It's about consciously fueling that engine we talked about. If you are experiencing unexplained fatigue or weight loss, or if you simply have concerns about your diet, this is a critical conversation to have with your doctor. They can screen for nutrient deficiencies and may recommend you speak with a registered dietitian who can help you create a personalized, empowering eating plan. All right, let's just take a quick pause here. We've covered a lot of crucial ground. We've talked about reframing the fear of falling from a paralyzing emotion into a catalyst for action. We've outlined the 3 pillars of a resilient body: strength, balance, and flexibility that go far beyond just walking. And we've debunked the dangerous myth of malnutrition, emphasizing the need for nutrient-dense foods to fuel our independence. These are not just ideas. They are concrete strategies that put you in the driver's seat of your physical health. If you're finding this guide helpful and this approach refreshing, I would be so grateful if you took just a moment to tap that like button below. It truly helps the video reach more people like you who are looking for credible, empowering information. Thank you for that. Now, let's move from the physical foundation to the world around us and tackle the second major silent threat. The second silent threat to our independence is the erosion of our social and mental well-being. This is an area where the danger is particularly quiet, creeping in so gradually we might not notice it until it has a firm grip. Let's start with the social fabric of our lives. We tend to think of loneliness as just a feeling of sadness, an emotional state, but a growing body of scientific evidence is telling us something much more serious. The U.S. Surgeon General has declared social isolation a public health crisis. Research has shown that lacking social connection can increase the risk of premature death by more than 60%. To put that in perspective, that is a risk factor comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and even greater than the risks associated with obesity and physical inactivity. It's not just about feeling blue. It's a physiological threat. Chronic loneliness can increase inflammation, raise levels of stress hormones like cortisol, and negatively impact sleep, all of which contribute to a higher risk of heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. For many of us, this happens organically and unintentionally. We retire from a job that provided daily social interaction. Our children are grown and busy with their own lives, perhaps living hours away. Friends may move to be closer to their own families, or begin dealing with their own health challenges that limit their ability to get out. Our vibrant social circle can, without us even realizing it, shrink to just a few people. I remember my own grandfather, a proud and social man who, after my grandmother passed, slowly retreated. He'd say he was fine, that he enjoyed the peace and quiet, but we noticed he was less sharp, less engaged. The phone calls he used to make to his old army buddies became less frequent. The silence was not golden. It was corrosive. Combating this requires the same proactive, strategic mindset we apply to physical health. You cannot wait for connection to find you. You must build and maintain it with intention. The action step here is to schedule social interaction the same way you would schedule a doctor's appointment. Put it on the calendar. This could be a weekly phone call with a friend, a standing coffee date with a neighbor, or a monthly family dinner. Look for opportunities to engage with a larger community. Volunteering for a cause you care about is a powerful two-for-one benefit. It provides purpose and automatic social connection. Joining a club, a book club, a gardening society, a walking group puts you in a room with people who share your interests. And don't dismiss technology. While a video call on FaceTime or Zoom is not a perfect substitute for an in-person hug, it is a powerful tool for seeing the faces of loved ones who are far away, bridging the distance in a meaningful way. The key is to see your social calendar not as a frivolous extra, but as a core component of your health plan, as vital as any medication or exercise routine. Closely linked to our social health is our cognitive health, and this brings us to one of the most feared topics for anyone over 65, the fear of losing our memory. Let's talk directly about those senior moments. Walking into a room and forgetting why, struggling for a name that's on the tip of your tongue. It is completely normal to be concerned when these moments seem to happen more often. They can spark a deep fear of dementia and a loss of our very identity. This is where you might hear the term mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. It's important you address this head-on because it is widely misunderstood. MCI is diagnosed when someone has a noticeable and measurable decline in their thinking skills, like memory or decision-making. But, and this is the crucial part, it is not severe enough to interfere with their ability to carry out everyday activities. You can have MCI and still be fully independent. Now here is the vital, empowering truth that is often lost in the fearful headlines. A diagnosis of MCI is not a guaranteed one-way ticket to dementia. The truth is much more nuanced. According to the Alzheimer's Association, many people with MCI can remain stable for years. In some cases, their symptoms can even improve and revert to normal. Furthermore, the very diagnosis of MCI is still a subject of ongoing debate and research within the medical community. What is not debated, however, is that many things can cause memory problems that look like MCI but are entirely treatable. These can include a vitamin B12 deficiency, linking back to our discussion on nutrition, thyroid problems, sleep deprivation, depression, or even side effects from common medications. This is why it is absolutely critical not to self-diagnose or panic. If you are noticing persistent changes in your memory, the first step is a thorough evaluation by your doctor. They can run tests to rule out these other reversible causes. And what do experts recommend for protecting brain health and for those with MCI? The very same things we've been discussing: regular physical exercise, active social engagement, and keeping your brain challenged by learning new things. The body, the mind, and our social lives are not separate systems. They are deeply interconnected. We've now fortified our physical body and addressed the critical need for mental and social engagement. But there is a third silent threat, one that can undermine all our other efforts. It's the threat to our personal agency, the feeling that we are losing control over the decisions that shape our lives. This often plays out in two key arenas: the doctor's office and in our long-term planning. Let's tackle the doctor's office first. Have you ever left an appointment feeling rushed, unheard, or that your concerns were brushed aside with a simple, "That's just part of getting older"? This is an incredibly common and disempowering experience, and it's a direct threat to your health. You are the world's leading expert on your own body. You know what feels normal and what doesn't. When your expertise is dismissed, it can lead to misdiagnoses and a feeling of helpless frustration. The solution is to transform yourself from a passive patient into the active CEO of your own healthcare team. This isn't about being confrontational. It's about being prepared. Doctors are often managing packed schedules, and that 15-minute slot can fly by. To make the most of it, you must come with a strategy. Before your appointment, take 5 minutes to write down the top 2 or 3 most important questions or concerns you have. Start the appointment by saying, "Doctor, there are 3 things I'd really like to discuss today," to set the agenda. If you're given a diagnosis or a new prescription, don't be afraid to ask clarifying questions. What are the side effects I should watch for? How will we know if this treatment is working? Can you explain that in a different way for me? It can also be immensely helpful to bring a trusted family member or friend with you. They can act as a second set of ears, take notes, and help you remember to ask your questions. Taking these steps shifts the dynamic. It signals that you are an engaged partner in your health, and it ensures that your voice, the most important voice in the room, is heard. The final frontier of maintaining your independence is having a proactive plan for the future, especially regarding your finances and legal wishes. This can be an uncomfortable topic, but avoiding it is one of the biggest threats to your autonomy. Let's be frank. Financial anxiety is real and valid. An estimate from 2022 suggested that an average 65-year-old couple could expect to spend over $315,000 on healthcare throughout their retirement. That number is enough to keep anyone up at night. But the planning we're talking about goes beyond just savings. It's about ensuring your wishes are honored and you remain in control, even if you are unable to speak for yourself. Having these conversations and putting these documents in place before a crisis is not morbid. It is the ultimate act of empowerment and a profound gift to your loved ones. It relieves them of the agonizing burden of having to guess what you would have wanted. There are 3 key legal documents that, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and elder law attorneys, form the cornerstone of this plan. First is a will or a trust, which dictates how your assets will be distributed. Second, and arguably even more critical for your independence, is a durable power of attorney for healthcare, sometimes called a healthcare proxy. This document designates a person you trust to make medical decisions on your behalf if you become incapacitated. Third is a durable financial power of attorney. This appoints someone to manage your financial affairs, pay bills, manage investments, if you are unable to. Appointing these people now, while you are clear-headed and decisive, means you are choosing your own team. I know these conversations can be difficult, but framing them as an act of love, control, and thoughtful planning can make all the difference. It's about saying, I want to make sure my wishes are clear, to protect both myself and you. This is how you retain control over your legacy and your life, no matter what the future holds. So let's bring it all together. We started this conversation by acknowledging the deep and valid fear of losing our independence. But we made a promise not to dwell in fear, but to move into action. We've seen that the threats to our autonomy are often silent. They are not always a sudden illness, but a gradual creep of fear, inactivity, isolation, and a loss of agency. But for every one of these threats, there is a powerful and proactive strategy. You have won a new understanding of how to build a truly resilient body, focusing on the 3 pillars of strength, balance, and flexibility. You have won the knowledge to combat the hidden hunger of malnutrition by focusing on nutrient-dense foods. You have won a new appreciation for your social life as a critical pillar of your health and a clearer, less fearful understanding of cognitive changes. And most importantly, you have won a clear set of strategies for taking command of your health dialogue and your future wishes, ensuring that you remain the author of your own life story. A journey of aging is not a passive decline. It is an active, dynamic process. And every choice you make, every walk you take, Every phone call you make to a friend, every question you ask your doctor is a vote in favor of your own strength, your own clarity, and your own cherished independence. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these strategies or ideas was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the concept of the fear of falling being a self-fulfilling prophecy? Or the idea of being overweight but still malnourished? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading and learning from your experiences is one of the best parts of making these videos. And finally, if you enjoyed this deep dive and appreciate this approach to healthy aging, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell so you won't miss our future conversations. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Be well, stay empowered, and I'll see you in the next video.